Follitonic blood work review. We had one of our test subjects do 7 days, 25 milligrams of Follitonic injected every day. We got the blood work done before and after the experiment. This test subject was on 150 milligrams of TRT, testosterone, per week, and was taking the normal dosage of an aromatase inhibitor during that. And the most... Cholesterol change, yeah. So first thing to understand is that is a high dosage of an injectable, because the injectable is going to be far more powerful than an oral version. The oral version YK11, the injectable version Follitonic.
Half-life's increased though.
The Follitonic at 25 milligrams, substantially more effective than the oral version at 25 milligrams, but we wanted to see what the side effects were especially. We already knew the benefits. We've done many experiments with the Follitonic that put on a ton of mass during our transformations, but we wanted to know how it's affecting blood work. This isn't the first blood work we did, but this is one of the most comprehensive that we've done. And again, it only is for a week. So, if there's something that was happening bad here, 3 months into it, well, no one would run it for 3 months. My theory is to run Follitonic for very short bursts. But the longer you'd be on this dosage, the more you'd see the side effects get worse, basically. I think the most shocking thing, let's start out with it because I don't understand it, and then we'll go into the smaller details, is that the testosterone and free testosterone doubled. So he's doing 150 milligrams per week, and obviously, based on the injection time and when it peaks, this affects it, but he's splitting up the dosage. There shouldn't have been too much of a fluctuation during this.
We don't know how much it went up because it taps out at 15, and when they scale the free test, they scale it to 1500. So it could have went up even past that.
Yeah, it's greater than, like his free testosterone went greater than 90. Like the tap out point is 90, and before he was like 50 or something. So we know that he either roughly doubled or more than doubled his free testosterone, which I don't understand unless the Follitonic has such a higher binding affinity that it occupied all the androgen receptors in the muscle, leaving the testosterone and free testosterone to just float around in the bloodstream. And that's one possibility, but then we would expect to see more conversion to DHT and estrogen, and we didn't see...
But it's DHT based.
DHT and estrogen increase.
Mm-hmm. So maybe because it's DHT based, it keeps that from happening.
Yeah, DHT.
So it just keeps...
the body recognizes it as DHT. So
right, because it's seeing the YK as being DHT also.
That's interesting.
Or at least
possible. And then the aromatase inhibitor is you'd expect, even on aromatase inhibitor, if testosterone doubled, you'd expect estrogen to go up more than just, it went up from 17 to 22. Yeah. But the aromatase inhibitor and the timing of taking it may have impacted
how much aromatase
inability for him to convert it to estrogen.
It's about a dosage unit per cc of testosterone is I think what he was doing, so have a pill twice a week or one.
Yeah, and his estrogen was in normal range in both before and after, and just barely increased. So here's what was interesting, like most of all the blood work is normal. Like it didn't have a negative impact on nothing. I mean, like his prostate was normal, all of his minerals were normal, his kidney, his liver, nothing was impacted, no liver toxicity, no kidney toxicity. His sex hormone binding globulin though, before was 17.2 and after was 12.5. So one of the reasons why we did this experiment was to see if injectable SARMs have less of an impact on sex hormone binding globulin, because then we could infer that injectable SARMs have a less impact on our whole body's hormone homeostasis, because through the mechanism of action in the liver in the first pass, it would affect hormone balance, and we would see that through sex hormone binding globulin changing.
And it should be about a 5 to 8 on something, if he was taking like the oral YK. But again, we only had 7 days, so it could have went down more over time, or it could have stayed the same. That's one thing we have to do, is keep going with it, see time frame, because DHT wasn't changed either.
Yeah.
Everything was fine.
But based on this, we do think that even injectable Follitonic is going to lower SHBG.
Oh, always. Anytime androgens are high, what's transporting? SHBG is there for a reason. That's the one transporting these things. So when they're taken up, it means there's a higher androgen level. So anytime androgens are high, SHBG is going to take a hit, but to what extent, right? It's that first pass that's going to make the biggest biggest hit.
Going back to the liver toxicity, his liver normal range is 0 to 40, 0 to 44 for AST, ALT. His liver was 29, 26. That's the lowest. I mean, that is really low, which means that there is no impact on the liver at all.
For a methylated steroid?
And it was basically no change before and after injecting a high dosage of Follitonic. So this is roughly maybe the fifth blood work we've done on high dose YK11 or Follitonic and seen no impact on the liver whatsoever, despite reading on the internet that everybody's speculating because it's methylated that it's going to be liver toxic, but they have no basis other than the speculation of associating methylation with liver toxicity because of methylated steroids.
Well, but if it's oral, would that?
So what happens when you methylate a steroid, right?
Yeah.
Or methylate
Anything.
It's going to have a double pass to survive, right?
Yeah.
So double pass in the liver goes through an extensive role. Well, that double pass puts extra strain on the liver, right? That's where this concept's coming from. And then people are saying from the inject, right? You're still injecting it, it's still going to have a double pass through the liver, is what people are arguing. But no, it's not. And then yeah.
So this person gained 7 pounds of muscle in 7 days. And one thing I want to put in perspective for people is like how much steroids someone needs to take to get 7 pounds of permanent, dry, not bloated, water-retained muscle, and how much impact that would have on blood work. And yet we did that in 1 week on the Follitonic with almost no impact on the blood work other than, let's go to the cholesterol, the HDL dropped. I think that's the only side effect of this is because that's HPG dropping, this really doesn't impact anything that much. We're just reading into that to see if it can impact other hormone homeostasis. But when it comes to actual side effects we care about, the HDL dropped from 43 down to 29. Pretty significant drop in 1 week. But this goes to my theory of blasting these things that are so much more powerful for a shorter period of time. Imagine doing a cycle of this one week and then taking a month off and everything goes back to normal and you've gained 7 pounds of permanent muscle, and then you do another 1 week blast instead of staying on cycle all the time and its side effects accumulating.
Also, the change in the HDL is only a problem if the triglycerides get really high.
Mm-hmm.
And the triglycerides were normal.
Yeah, it didn't.
It's a temp, right?
Right, because it's like, there's HDLs, LDLs, and triglycerides. Yeah. And usually 2 of the 3 have to drastically change before a problem's going to be created.
They call it a phenomena with steroid users because the HDL and LDL change that happens being able to come right back after a cycle. They don't understand why, because sometimes testosterone will cause this to happen, exogenous, sometimes it doesn't. And then they don't know how or why, still to this day, the exact mechanism, and then when it does, how it can come back so fast.
Also, wait, HDLs and LDLs, we're finding now in newer research, are really just fat transporters.
Cholesterol,
Yeah. I mean, it's so like if you do a 48-hour fast, I talk about this all the time with the X3 users. You do a 48-hour fast, and your LDLs go up, and it's because your body's living on its own body fat. It's metabolizing its own body fat. So, like, what was going on? Maybe because you said he put on 7 pounds of mass, and he probably wasn't eating, 5,000 calories a day.
IGF stuff and fat,
Right. So, like, maybe there's like an autophagic process that's going on that's taking maybe proteins, fats from in the body and using that for muscle protein synthesis.
Yeah, it has to be.
Because
otherwise, where does it come from?
Right.
Growth hormone partition, same way.
Sure. Like that could totally.
So here's one thing.
That's totally theoretical.
I didn't look at this earlier because they're both within normal range before and after, but usually we see things like hemoglobin, hematocrit, and platelets go up, but all of his went down. So we will just generally call those blood thickness went down,
With
which
testosterone
I've
up.
never seen, someone take anabolics and their blood thickness go down.
I know you always look at that.
It would be wonderful for me because my blood always gets way
thicker,
too thick, way faster. So all in all, I'd say that for the amount of gains that he made and the almost complete lack of side effects other than the decrease in HDL and the unexplainable testosterone skyrocketing, that I hypothesize is because his androgen receptors are occupied by the Follitonic, which has a higher binding affinity than the testosterone's just circulating. Other than that, I don't see anything really notable.
See, to me, this is like something that anybody that's been in bed for a long time, they've been sick and they're coming off of some type of illness, I could see this as being like the best thing that a physician could prescribe.
Yeah.
So that they just bounce back.
Because even a lower dose than that would be very effective.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just recover 7 pounds of lean mass.
He didn't do anything really. When I think back to training, it was just normal, just back to
Normal.
nothing changed other than he had to take a shot. He didn't want to do it. That was it.
Yeah, nothing, no impact on the kidneys whatsoever either. So, no kidney toxicity, no liver toxicity, no negative impact on anything.
It does help back up too on the transformations, like you were saying. When people wondered why I would ever, that's how I kind of would do like the growth and everything. Would be a blitz style and then more just kind of taper down. But anabolics never went excessively high either. So when people are talking about these transformations being, oh, you're gonna have so many side effects or it's so dangerous, if you're monitoring yourself or somebody else is during, the long-term repercussions are the ones that are not going to be there. Like
Well, they're short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I equate it to 5 days in Cabo. So my friends, it's very common for them to go down to Cabo and drink and party for 5 days, and they're just wrecked. Their bodies are destroyed. It's a tax on the health.
Yeah, sure.
And what do they get out of it at the end? They get some good memories. But if I put the same strain on my body in a positive way to build a lot of muscle, now that we know how to build muscle fast, we can put on 10 pounds of muscle in 5 days pretty easily with even less strain on the body than 5 days partying in Cabo, and we actually have 10 pounds of muscle to show for it. We just missed out on the Cabo memories. We'll have to catch up on those later.
That's right.
You don't really remember those.
Yeah. I don't like hanging.
We don't remember anything from Cabo, remember?
Yeah. There's pictures.
Remember?
We can always revert back to the pictures that hopefully only we have access to. Peace, well, and swell, friends of freedom, pioneers of human evolution.